I am incredibly disappointed. I will say I still feel like it's better. It is better for Americans that Donald Trump is the president. I don't care what anybody says about that. It's better for children that Donald Trump is the president. And I'm going to get into that big beautiful bill tomorrow, but at least we've stopped the flow of child sex trafficking through the southern border. At least we've been able to do that. That is a win. That's a win. Because that was a major source of the problem. That's a huge win for children. Yes. And if y'all are going to be pro-life, y'all know me, my views differ on this. And that's why I say I'm conservative leaning. I'm not all the way conservative. But if you're going to be pro-life, you have to care about what happens to these children once they're born. So you can't say that you're pro-life and then say we got to turn a blind eye to the fact that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are lying about these Epstein files, especially when Kash Patel was one of the loudest ones about Jeffrey Epstein before he got appointed. No, 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 no. We're not letting them off the hook. We're on their ass like white on rice. And the relationship that the United States has with Israel is weird. It's not right. I don't care what I've already went through the biblical prophecy. If you want to unsubscribe to me because I disproved it, it don't match. If it don't fit, you must have quit. I'm going to be on my Johnny Cochran. The prophecy Israel don't fit the description at all. Other than the fact that it's the nation of Israel. Everything else, it don't fit the description. So if that prophecy alone is going to be the reason why we have to ignore what happened to those girls, and it might have been young boys, we don't know. And you want to get upset, that's fine. I do not care. You are an adult. Put your big boy or big girl drawers on. I don't know, Mariah, you're pretty right wing, but I'm starting to feel like this might be another Obama moment just on the other side. Can you explain that, Jamal? I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I am pretty right wing, but I'm not. The only reason why I'm pretty right wing is because the things that used to be considered Democrat, the values that the Democrat Party used to believe in, they no longer believe it. So when I say I support not Donald Trump, when I say I do support him for the most part, when I say I support RFK, who was a Democrat, who ran as a candidate to become the Democrat nominee, when I say I support his Maha movement, that used to be something that other Democrats supported. I can go back and pull up videos of Hillary Clinton saying that she believes that we should close the border. So I'm right wing because the Democrat Party has lost its mind. This another Obama moment where we know what we ordered. He got the right people, but the deep state in Ziocons still in control. Exactly. So this lets me know this right here, what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. I officially do our votes matter? Yes, to an extent. Because let's be clear. Trump being in office has major consequences. Again, if Donald Trump hadn't got in office, imagine what this country would have been. Imagine how many people, unvetted people, would have been in this country. Imagine what your neighborhoods would look like in another 4 years if Kamala Harris would have been able to be the president and she would have left those borders wide open. You would have been replaced. Not only that, they would have been flying illegal immigrants into swing states and permanently changing the voter demographics. We would have been a forever blue country. So yeah, these elections do have consequences, But in terms of the powerful giving up their power, they're not giving it to. They will appease us to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, we are still beholden to Israel because of all the blackmail and all the dirt that that country has on our politicians. So as voters, we don't have any say about the wars that we entertain or that we engage in the wars that we fund. They will tell you no, they don't got it for you, but we got it for a whole nother country that really doesn't have anything to do with us. They will convince you that what's in the best interest of a foreign entity is in the best interest of you, and you are expected to accept it without question. Because these politicians have been compromised. So they will do and say whatever to justify their support of Israel, and they will do and say whatever to cover up what has happened to these children. Point blank, period. That's the bottom line. Yeah, they lost their entire minds. I'm assuming I ain't have to ask how you're right wing to me, and I'm progressive independent, but give me a decent Democrat in the States, not a right winger. No way. Yeah, there's no, where are the decent Democrats? Where are the decent Democrats? I actually no, there is one. I forgot his name. It'll come to mind. There is a decent Democrat. Okay. Anyways, guys, and when I say we're the decent Democrats, I'm not talking about regular Americans. No, I'm talking about these politicians. Where are the Democrats with the balls of a Thomas Massey? Where are they? Okay. So, foremost, give me a second. I'm going to pull up the video that the White House of the interview that the White House press secretary did first, and then we're going to pull up the video that the interview that Donald Trump and Pam Bondi did today. Here we go. Okay, hopefully y'all can see this. I got this off of Brian Tyler Cohen's channel. I feel like I've heard of him, but honestly, I don't know much about him.
Of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox News.
Got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes to the FBI and the Department of Justice, they are more than committed to ensuring that bad people are put behind bars. They have an operation.
And you know what? I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. To be fair, I'm sure the cases that they can touch and the bad people that they can put in jail, they're going after. But guess what? Though it's necessary, and I'm glad that they're doing that, that's low hanging fruit, boo. What matters is when you touch the cases that you're not supposed to touch. That's what matters. Those are the big fish. That's what's going to separate you between somebody that's about that action, about that life, and somebody that's only for justice when it's convenient. And to be fair, let me be clear. I understand. Their families' lives are probably on the line. Most of these people have kids, they have spouses. So I understand the predicament that they're in. Are you willing to sacrifice yours for everybody else's? Probably not. And that's why people always tell me, Mariah, you should get into politics. No. You know why? Because I have a daughter. I can't. I can be compromised. Do y'all understand? If somebody tells me they're going to do something to my daughter, I'm choosing my daughter every time. Every single time. And that's why my suggestion moving forward is that if you have too much to lose, you should not be in these sort of positions. You should not head the DOJ. You should not be investigating these type of things. These are for people who don't have family that they talk to or care about and don't have kids and don't have a wife. It's harsh to say that, but these type of appointmentships should only be given to people who absolutely cannot be compromised because they don't have much to lose. That's the reality of the situation here. Good Dems in Congress. I don't like any of these people you're bringing up. Nina Turner, I do like. Trump too short since G7. Hi, what's up, TK peoples? Okay, I didn't understand the point of that, but welcome.
Going on right now called Summer Heat, which has our murder rate trending in the lowest direction in United States history. Their emphasis on violent crime and locking up violent criminals has led to the arrest of 14,000 violent criminals. That's a 62% increase from the same time period last year. So this attorney general and the FBI director are committed to putting bad people behind bars where they belong.
We appreciate that. Honestly and truly. Again, I do believe this country is going to be safer under the Donald Trump administration. I do believe we will see a sharp decline in violent crimes. I think those days, especially, I don't know about in places like New York where they are very offender friendly. Like they catch these people and let them go because supposedly the bond and the bail system is unfair. And though I have had my criticisms of it, we have seen the consequences of dismantling that system in New York. Their crime rate is terrible. I couldn't imagine living in New York. It seems like a cesspool of degeneracy. So again, I believe this country will be safer. We don't have any jobs to give to foreigners. And I have nothing against foreigners. But I believe what's left will be available for Americans if they want to do whatever whatever job market is left now. Okay, it's bad right now. And I said this before Donald Trump got in office, that even if he could get in office and work some type of miracle, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And that's just the reality of the situation. But as far as violent crime, as far as safety, yes, we're in much better hands than a Kamala Harris. because the Democrats, they let crime run wild and rampant and make every excuse for as to why people do crime. When honestly and truly, it don't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Okay. Because after they've done it, the victims don't want to hear about their past and all these terrible things that happened to them. I'm just being honest. Once the damage is done, it doesn't even matter.
That they promised an exhaustive review. That's what they did. For any further details, I would refer you to the Department of Justice.
So let me get this straight. Apparently, when Attorney General Pam Bondi said this,
you could have 1 million followers and still not be able to pay your bills.
Over 1 million creators and brands
and
are
you know
growing
what?
faster.
D. Malley, Donald Trump is going to try to basically say that too. Like, why are y'all still talking about this? I'm going to pull up the video. And my whole thing is, you know, from her statement, forget about Epstein and focus on, I'm sorry, let me go back. You said what I got from her statement was forget about Epstein and focus on stopping other people like him. But the thing is, none of these other people are like him. They're like him in terms of, like, if you want to talk about the child SA, yeah, like we definitely need to stop those people. But this was an operative. This was an asset. None of these people are doing it to the level that he was doing it. This man had our politicians in compromising positions. And whoever has that kind of intelligence owns our politicians. They own the American people. So it's like, this is the big fish. Nobody else is like him. In terms of all these other people they're going after, none of them is like him. We need a millennial president who never grew up rich. JD Vance went to an Ivy League. He grew up poor, though. Tell him to go make some money and ball out, not be president. He's smart and self-righteous and judgmental. JD Vance grew up very poor in a single mother household. I actually like him, and he has way more sense than Ilhan Omar. It's not even close. And that's what I'm saying. I can't wait till he runs for president in 2028, because we will see if he ever gets the opportunity to debate a lot of these leftists. He will no doubt mop the floor with them. I feel like Hollywood is crumbling and many celebs are getting exposed, so maybe that might be it. Let's continue.
Engaging better and selling more.
The DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
apparently that
Okay. And you know what? I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she didn't have a actual client list, like a single client list. Maybe she did mean that I have the whole file to go through. Because honestly, it doesn't take much time to review a client list unless the list was just that long. And my whole thing is, why would that be something that you waited to review, though? Like, I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care what I'm doing. If I'm Pam Bondi and somebody drops a Jeffrey Epstein file on my desk, I'm not just putting that to the side. The first thing I'm doing is trying to find that client list. I will sit in that office and stay up all night until I get to the bottom of it. I mean, damn, how long will it take? So off top, there is something suspicious. I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, but as I'm talking about it, there's something suspicious about that statement. But I'm not going to hold you. I knew then, once they didn't put those files out within the first month, that we weren't getting the truth. So again, this was just her trying to delay again.
that didn't mean the client list was on her desk, but rather that all of the paperwork in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes were on her desk. And if you're thinking to yourself, that doesn't really make sense, You'd be right. It doesn't, because it is a desperate lie, and when you tell lies on top of lies on top of other lies, this is what happened. You're left spinning a web of lies so clearly false that you just sound like an absolute joke. Perhaps this White House might consider, even just once, being honest about literally anything. Also, it's
Well, I
pretty
don't
rich
agree with
hearing
that.
Levitt explain that this DOJ is committed to putting bad people behind bars as it relates.
I don't agree with that. I mean, this office has been honest about a lot of things. This is something that they're lying about. And that's why I don't agree with the Democrats. That's why I can't get with the Democrats. Every time I watch Democrats and they're like, Trump's lying, 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 lying. And I'm like, y'all use lying so much. But every time, like, y'all literally had a president in office who during the 2020 election, people lied about his mental status. Then y'all lied to yourselves and told the rest of us that we are not doctors when we could clearly see that that man had dementia. Y'all lied to your own self about the mental state of y'all president. Lied to y'allself about the fact that they sabotage people like RFK and Marianne Wilson during the Marianne Williamson during the primaries. Lied to y'allself about the fact that they intentionally swapped out Kamala Harris for Joe Biden at the end, that it was a coup. Lie to yourself about that. Ignored all the child sex trafficking that was going on. Democrats, for the most part, don't even really care about the Epstein files. That's more of a right-wing thing. Y'all call us conspiracy theorists about everything. And then when you get proven wrong, don't admit it. Just find something else to say somebody's lying about that. So it's like for a party of people that are always saying lying, 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 y'all ignored all the money laundering that went on from the Biden administration to Zelensky. But every little thing that Donald Trump says is a lie. Now, they lying about this situation with Epstein for sure. This is a lie. It's a clear and blatant lie. But let's not pretend like the people that y'all run interference for are honest. Hell, they lie every time they get on this TV and say that Donald Trump is deporting American citizens and immigrants. Y'all can't even be honest about the difference between an illegal immigrant and a legal immigrant. Y'all can't even be honest between the difference of what is a man and what is a female. Y'all won't even be honest about that. Something as simple as what is a man and what is a woman. Y'all won't even tell the truth about that. But everybody else is lying. Oh, see, no, I'm not going to take my foot up off y'all neck. It's a perfect play because motherfuckers been distracted by this for years now. By what? Been distracted by what? Are you talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Why do people in government act so nonchalant and disconnected? Like they are not excited about UFOs, aliens, elite deviants, and hate the billionaires. I don't know. Democrat Party is at civil war. So is liberalism. And so is the black community. Plus live in gang areas. So black Chicago Democrats ain't never seen nothing. They play craziest. Our people are traumatized and brainwashed. Exactly.
It's the whole Epstein saga when Donald Trump literally appointed the prosecutor, Alex Acosta, who gave Epstein a sweetheart deal to his own cabinet in his first term. In 2007, as U.S. Attorney, Acosta approved a plea deal that allowed Epstein to plead guilty to a single charge of.
To be fair, Donald Trump appointed a lot of people during his first term that he was advised to appoint that he didn't invite back during his second term. And he said because he learned his lesson. So you know what? I'll give him that. But here's my thing. With these new appointees, needs to be a different outcome. We were rooting for Kash Patel. We were rooting for Pam Bondi. That was the point of him. Drain the swamp, right? Tell on these people. Snitch. It's not enough snitching going on for me.
Solicitation in exchange for a federal non-prosecution agreement. And Trump rewarded that guy with a role as Secretary of Labor in his White House. So let me ask you, do you really think Donald Trump is going to be the guy who gives you all the answers you're looking for when he has surrounded himself by the very people who are responsible for why Epstein has evaded accountability in the first place? This all comes in the
Okay,
aftermath of a
so
bombshell
I don't
Axios
agree with
story
this
yesterday
because, sir, you
revealing,
bringing
quote,
up old stuff. You're bringing up old stuff. So for him to be like, oh, he surrounded himself, during his first administration with these, we have different people. So yes, we expected a different outcome. You're bringing up old stuff. That's the thing. These Democrats have to be intellectually dishonest every time they make a case. And question, were we supposed to expect Kamala Harris to give us the truth? And that's why I will forever say this. With Donald Trump, there are going to be some things that MAGA takes an L on. We clearly took an L on this. But at least we tried. Do y'all understand? At least we said we know what we're going to get with the Dems and Kamala Harris. We're going to get more lies. This woman is not promising not to get us into any war. As a matter of fact, she knows it's on the agenda. So she's not even going to say that. It's par for the course. We're going to keep sending more money to Ukraine, more money to Israel. And on top of that, to add gasoline on top of a burning fire, we're going to have wide open borders. We're going to replace you as a worker and a voter base. So, in so many ways, that administration was going to betray the American people. MAGA saw an opportunity to try to do something differently. And for that, I don't think that MAGA should feel bad or feel like they made the wrong decision, because what was the alternative? You only had two choices here.
President Trump's Justice Department and FBI have concluded they have no evidence that convicted sex offender and disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein blackmailed powerful figures, kept a client list, or was murdered, according to a memo detailing the findings obtained by Axios. So apparently, we've got hundreds of victims, tons of evidence, and yet not a single client other than Epstein himself that this administration can point to, despite months and months and months of promises saying the exact opposite. Yeah, no, that makes total sense. It also makes moments like this one back in February all the more ridiculous in retrospect.
In this case, in Epstein's case, it is incredibly disturbing. We have flight logs, we have information, names that will come out.
Is it going to be shocking?
I don't see how it's not shocking that there were so many individuals.
I just told my agency.
Y'all know why this is also a bad look?
To burn every whiteboard we own. Why? ClickUp just released their brand new whiteboard.
Y'all know why this is also a bad look? Let's be clear. Most Democrats don't care about Epstein. They don't. They didn't. They didn't before Donald Trump got in office. The majority of them didn't care. They weren't calling for Joe Biden to release the files. They weren't asking Kamala Harris if she was going to release the files. Like, they did not care, right? But this is why this is a bad look. This fallout that Donald Trump just had with Elon Musk, and Elon Musk got on Twitter and said that Donald Trump was in those Epstein files. Now the Dems are paying attention. See, they didn't care before. Now they're paying attention. So you had Elon Musk come out last month and implicate Donald Trump in those Epstein files. And then this month you have Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and Kash Patel saying that it was a self-deletion and that he acted as a lone wolf. So can you blame the Democrats for now using that as ammunition to say that Donald Trump was probably on that island touching A minors. This is what happens when you don't really clear something up. You leave yourself open to speculation. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump did or that he didn't do it. Hell, we don't know. At this point, we don't know. And no, I am not going to be that ride or die, go hard for a grown man that I don't know to say, oh, he would never. I don't know him like that. I believed in his platform. I agree with him on domestic policy. I believe he was a better candidate than Kamala Harris. That is the extent to which I can vouch for him. That's it. That's all. I do not know that man personally. I don't know his private dealings. And guess what? You can't be mad at the Democrats now for using that as ammunition. He handed it to them. He handed it to them. They cleared Diddy's tapes too. This is an elite thing that crosses political lines. Exactly. I'm going to get into that.
Hidden and kept secret and not been held accountable. Let's talk about the reverse. I believe in accountability. So you have to now go through your process. Now, I won't say they're guilty until they go through their time in court. But again, now it's time for accountability. We have seen for so many years, Pierce, in this country, many investigations, subpoenas, testimonies in Congress, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a general frustration with accountability. We take it halfway. We don't take it home. And I really believe that now with Cash and Pam, there will be accountability.
That was Alina Habba explaining that, quote, we have flight logs, information, names that will come out. So was she lying then, or is the White House lying now? Because clearly there's a major disconnect here. Although perhaps we can ask those right-wing influencers who went to the White House and waved around their little Epstein binders. People like Jack Posobiec and libs of TikTok's Chaya Raichik. How about Matt Wallace, who tweeted, I just saw the leaked Epstein files, get ready for the world to change tomorrow. Quite a few right-wing influencers and personalities dangling these promises. And yet now the whole thing is closed with no further information.
It's a bad look. Totally. And a lot of these people probably didn't ever see anything. Who would give them those binders? Like, it's anybody with a working brain would know that an influencer or a media personality does not have access to those type of files. Let's be for real. So if you fell for that, I don't know. I just kind of feel like that's your fault. You got played. But it's still a bad look.
So my question becomes, where is all of this promised information? Where are all the smoking guns? Unless these right-wing personalities were lying to their followers back when they made these promises.
Obviously.
Stringing them along with promises of world-changing news. Is that what they did? Fool the rubes in their base for social media clout? Or was there actually major news that they too are hiding, just like this White House seems to be doing? Because it sure seems like someone was lying. So the question becomes, were they lying before or are they lying now? And of course, we would all be fools to ignore the fact that there are quite a few warning signs that might explain why this White House has a vested interest in keeping this under wraps. Take, for example, a certain tweet that nearly got Elon Musk deported. He took to Twitter writing, time to drop the really big bomb. Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT.
Okay, and here's the thing. I want to say with all my heart that Donald Trump didn't have anything to do with that man or that island. I want to say that, but I can't say that. I can't say, because of how this was handled. I cannot say that. And y'all can't be mad at people like me, people like Lou, who are saying, because of the way this is handled, I am not going to put on my cape and say that this is not fishy. And that with absolute certainty, Donald Trump was not in those files. I can't say, and it's not my fault I can't say that. They chose to handle it this way for whatever reason, whether they were getting blackmailed. It could be something as simple as Israel came to Donald Trump and was like, we will unalive you and your entire family. if y'all put this out. Because again, it's suspected that Epstein was an asset of the Mossad. For those of y'all who don't know, that's like the CIA, that's the intelligence agency of Israel. And that he was running these operations, these blackmail operations, and catching these American politicians in compromising positions so that they could have leverage over the United States when it comes time for them to wage wars and for us to send money. I told y'all we send $3.8 billion a year to Israel just to help them fund their military. We bankroll their military. They have nuclear weapons. They're not supposed to have those. We don't say anything to them about that. They're not supposed to have them. They illegally have nuclear weapons. Nobody says a word to them about it. Yet we're supposed to care about Iran getting one. So I can't be upset with the Dems if they now believe that Donald Trump was in cahoots with Jeffrey Epstein or that he did something fishy. Because guess what? I can't disprove it. It's clear that there were lies and cover-ups that went on with this situation. He didn't go out of his way to try to clear his name. So what can I say except for ignore that this happened, which I'm not going to do. Because children are involved. Children are involved. And the sovereignty of our nation is involved.
And if Elon's claims aren't moving enough, then maybe just consider the footage that's already out in the zeitgeist, like this. Oh, and if that's not enough, then take Trump's very own cagey comments about releasing the Epstein files when asked.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would. All right. I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff.
Again, just talking to somebody out in the open, there are plenty of people who talked to P. Diddy, who had conversations with Diddy in public areas. That don't mean that they were at Diddy parties. So, that doesn't necessarily mean that Donald Trump was on that island doing stuff with children. Even RFK admitted to taking a flight with Epstein one time. And he said that he got the feeling that he was a very weird, strange person, or that he was probing for information to try to see if he could be compromised. RFK said this. Donald Trump is a friendly person. We saw him having a conversation at Jimmy Carter's funeral with Obama. And they've talked so much shit about each other, for lack of a better word. So that isn't proof. But again, I can't blame the Democrats. Furthermore, again, if nobody in their party, Kamala, who was running, she never even offered to look into those Epstein files. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's probably something that she told the people who were interviewing her that you can't even ask me about. Don't even ask me about that. Y'all know she always had her rules. So many things were off the table. That's why she wouldn't go on Joe Rogan, because he wouldn't agree to all those stupid rules. So yeah, you can't call MAGA dumb for trusting the person that was at least willing to speak on it.
In there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
So look, will this have any impact on Trump supporters' willingness to carry water for the God King? Maybe for a few people, they'll realize the extent to which they were lied to by Trump, by Bongino, by Bondi, by Patel, by all of these right-wing grifters who waved around their...
We realize we were lied to. Don't call us water carriers. Again, people who are willing to go to the polls and vote for somebody who clearly had dementia can never call a Trump supporter a water carrier. You just can't. And y'all would have voted for him again had he not been swapped out for Kamala Harris at the last minute. Like, let's be for real here. Be for real about the decisions that you make. Look at yourself. The call is coming from inside the house. Y'all will forever hold that L. Y'all will forever hold that L for voting a dementia patient in office. And this is not conspiracy theory. They were on national news in December talking about the extent to which it was covered up. They were on CNN talking about this. Let's be clear. You have no room to talk about anybody.
Little binders filled with supposedly incriminating information. Maybe now everyone will realize what a con job the MAGA Republican Party has become. The whole thing is a scam to keep the marks thinking that they're fighting some righteous fight, when in reality, the real purpose of that stuff is keeping everybody nice and distracted with flashy topics like Epstein, while Republican officials use that cover to lower their own taxes. Perhaps now MAGA will finally realize the extent to which they've all been conned, while people in power make themselves richer.
Honestly and truly, we don't care about like right-wing people don't care about taxes being lowered on we don't care.